Captain Midnight.
Iron Man and Captain America have both faced plenty of adversaries through the years, from Ironmonger and the Red Skull, to Loki, Ultron, and even each other. But one obstacle they might not be able to overcome is a little less exciting than any of that: the contracts of the actors playing them. It's hard to believe, but Robert Downey Jr. has been playing Iron Man for almost a decade now. Chris Evans hasn't been at it quite so long, but he's no slouch himself either, having played the character since 2011. After kicking off the most financially successful film series of all time, it makes sense that they'd eventually be ready to hang up the armor and the shield and pursue other things. And according to everyone involved, these next two Avengers movies will forever reshape the MCU, with Downey and Evans probably leaving the franchise for good. Understandably, this worries a lot of Marvel fans. Though it continues to grow and include an ever-expanding list of characters, in many ways Tony Stark is the cornerstone of the MCU. And Cap isn't too far behind him. So is this cause to freak out? Well, maybe. But if the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to last, it needs to be able to make the best of creative shakeups like this. And Tom Holland's Spider-Man might just give Marvel a great opportunity to do that.
It's the Amazing Spider-Man Training Studio! You can train with Spidey and learn the moves of Spider-Man. Sling stance!
In my opinion, Peter Parker, of all the MCU characters, has the best shot of becoming the Iron Man-like glue that holds the Avengers franchise together. But, you know, I'm just some random YouTube guy, so don't take it from me. Take it from Marvel president Kevin Feige. This original 22-movie arc ends with the Untitled Avengers in May of 2019, and then 2 months later it will be Peter and Spider-Man that usher us into the aftermath of how things proceed from here. Now, to be fair, he's not exactly saying that Spider-Man will become the new face of the Avengers, but it's clear that he'll be playing a huge role going forward. With Iron Man, Captain America, and even possibly Thor gone, he's going to be one of the few big-name heroes still around to pick up the pieces. I mean, sure, there's the third Guardians film, but they occupy more of the cosmic side of the MCU, and I can't picture them spending multiple films hanging out in New York. I mean, there's plenty of other Marvel heroes running around, of course. Black Panther, Ant-Man the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Hulk maybe. Oh, and I guess Doctor Strange is around too, but things are a little quiet on the Doctor Strange sequel news front, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. I'm getting off track though. Point is, Spider-Man is definitely the most recognizable of the bunch to a mass audience, which makes me think they'll want to put him front and center in the marketing. So while, according to Feige, Spidey's role in Infinity War will be about as big as it was in Civil War, I'd be willing to bet that his character will only become more important going forward.
Pardon me. Yes, Spider-Man. Frankly, I'd rather have an orange.
Spider-Man loves oranges.
Another thing to consider is Sony and Marvel's weird deal that allows Marvel to use Peter Parker in the MCU. I guess there's the possibility that Sony could pull out of the deal, but I seriously don't think that would happen. Why? Well, because it's pretty obvious how badly Sony needs Marvel to make Spider-Man work. And I don't just mean creatively, though obviously I think that too, but financially. Despite a bunch of comments I got last month about how badly Homecoming flopped at the box office, that really couldn't be farther from the truth. Sure, domestically it didn't make as much as the original Raimi films, but it still did better than the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and at a fraction of the production budget. And when you take a look at the worldwide box office charts, which is what Hollywood really cares about anyway, it did even better, outgrossing Wonder Woman and Guardians 2 to be the top superhero movie of 2017 so far. It's pretty clear that if Sony wants their star franchise to keep making as much money as possible, they'll want to stick with Holland and the MCU. But forget the business angle, that's all cynical marketing stuff. Let's talk about how it could work in the actual story of Peter Parker. If you've seen Spider-Man Homecoming, and I really hope you have, because I'm about to spoil it here, you know that the movie ends with Peter deciding not to join the Avengers, instead choosing to embrace his high school life and keep Spider-Man more of a street-level New York hero. It worked well for the arc in this movie, but I think it's pretty obvious that it isn't exactly going to stick, as he'll probably be fighting aliens in space along with everyone else in Infinity War. So how should they handle balancing his commitment to being Spider-Man, the local Queen's hero, and also Spider-Man, the globe and space-trotting Avenger? Not to mention his personal responsibilities as Peter Parker. Well, personally, I think they should lean into that as much as possible. Spider-Man has been through a lot of change and iterations through the years, but the challenge of balancing his life as a superhero and his life as Peter has more or less remained the central conflict of his character. So why not extend that to his role in the Avengers? Like, for example, after Spider-Man is finished dealing with some crazy galaxy-level threat along with the rest of the team, he comes back home only to be racked with guilt that he couldn't save someone from a smaller, more street-level villain. Joss Whedon, director of the Avengers and creator of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, once stated how he approached writing his teenage heroine very simply, saying, "Buffy in pain, story more interesting. Buffy not in pain, story not as interesting." I think the same generally holds true for Peter Parker. Inner turmoil is the stuff great Spider-Man stories are made from, and being torn between the larger, end-of-the-world type problems of the Avengers and the smaller, more personal conflicts in Queens at home and at school would provide exactly that, because he can't be two places at once. And that conflict could be really interesting to explore, and especially if you had a villain that really underlined this struggle. Like, say, a villain that really rose to power in New York while Spidey was busy dealing with a cosmic threat. I think you could really have something there, and I'm hoping that's something that Marvel decides to explore in future Spider-Man films.
Voting for your local, state, and federal representative lets you choose who's on your side in all the issues we face today.
Marvel's Phase 1 stars slowly stepping down and leaving the franchise over the course of the next few years is going to be tough. There's just no way around that. But it's also an opportunity. We've explored Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America in quite a few movies. Maybe putting the spotlight on other characters wouldn't be such a bad thing. And while, yeah, we've had plenty of Spider-Man movies too, Holland's interpretation is just getting started. Add to that all the newer inclusions into the MCU, and it's easy to picture this new team stepping up to the plate and taking the Avengers franchise to places that we haven't seen before and that we never expected. So will Spider-Man be the new leader of the Avengers after 2019? I can't say for sure, but I would definitely enjoy watching him try.
Here's a special tip for the fellas and girls who have not already joined Captain Midnight's new 1940 Flight Patrol. You'd better hurry up and join at once, because there's a big adventure ahead. The thing to do now is to get started, because we're going to have not only barrels of fun, but loads of free gifts and prizes.